Look, it's Sunday night. You're lying in bed, phone in hand, scrolling Zillow, just to look. You see a house, nothing crazy, 3 bedrooms, not fancy, built sometime after flip phones existed. Price, $499,900. And your brain immediately goes, okay, if I just tighten up a bit, maybe stop eating out, maybe get a raise, and then you open the mortgage calculator. Your stomach drops. You close the app, and you think, how is anyone actually buying these? If that moment felt painfully familiar, yeah, same. My name is Jake, and I spend way too much time thinking about who can actually afford a $500,000 house in 2026. If you're someone who works hard, earns what should be a decent income, but still feels completely locked out of the housing market, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today, we're not guessing. We're doing the math. Slowly, honestly, and a little uncomfortably. Here's the thing. Most people think affording a house means, can I make the monthly payment? That's it. End of thought. And that's exactly why people feel broke even with 6-figure incomes. Because banks, TikTok gurus, and even well-meaning parents all push the same idea. If you're approved, you can afford it. No, that's not how real life works. Approval is about maximum risk. Affordability is about long-term survival. And in 2026, those two numbers are wildly different. Let's set the 2026 baseline. No fantasy numbers. We're going to be painfully realistic here. Assumptions for a $500,000 home in 2026. 20% down payment. Mortgage, $400,000. 30-year fixed loan. Interest rate, 6.5%. Optimistic, not worst case. Property taxes, approximately 1.2% annually. Insurance plus maintenance, conservative estimate. Now let's break this down. The monthly payment. This is where it starts hurting. Mortgage payment. At 6.5%, a $400,000 mortgage is roughly $2,530 per month. Property taxes. $500,000 times 1.2% equals $6,000 per year. That's $500 per month. Home insurance. Around $150 per month. Maintenance. The one everyone ignores. Rule of thumb, 1% of home value annually. That's $5,000 per year to $415 per month. Total monthly housing cost. Add it all up. Mortgage, $2,530. Taxes, $500. Insurance, $150. Maintenance, $415. Total, approximately $3,595 per month. And no, this does not include HOA fees, repairs, furniture, landscaping, or your water heater exploding at 2 a.m. The 28% rule. Here's what most people don't realize. Financial planners often say housing should be no more than 28% of your gross income. So let's reverse engineer this. $3,600 per month times 12 equals $43,200 per year. Now divide that by 0.28. Required gross income, approximately $154,000 per year. That's the clean number, not barely approved, not house poor but surviving. That's comfortable, still saving, still living life income. Now let's talk down payment, the silent gatekeeper. A 20% down payment on $500,000 is $100,000. And this is where the psychology kicks in, because people hear that number and think, well, I'll just put 5% down. But here's what happens then. Higher monthly payment, PMI added, worse loan terms, zero margin for error, which pushes the required income even higher. Saving $100,000 isn't just about discipline. It's about time, stability, and luck. Most first-time buyers aren't failing. They're just racing against inflation with shoelaces tied together.
So,
Who actually can afford this? This is where it gets really interesting, because it's not just high earners. It's a very specific group. Profile number 1, dual income professionals. 2 people earning $75,000 to $85,000 each. No kids, or one planned later. Stable careers, minimal debt. Together, $150,000 plus household income. This is currently the most common buyer profile. Profile number 2, equity climbers. Bought earlier, sold with appreciation, rolled equity forward. They're not richer, they just bought earlier. Timing beat income. Profile number 3, family assisted buyers. Down payment help, living at home rent-free, inheritance, or gifts. Quietly more common than people admit. Who usually can't, even if they should? Single income earners under $120,000. People with student loans, households with childcare costs, anyone upgrading without equity. This is why the frustration feels personal, because it feels like you did everything right, and yet the math says no. Why this messes with your head? Here's what most people don't realize. Housing isn't just shelter anymore. It's become a status symbol, a timeline milestone, and a self-worth measuring stick. So when the numbers don't work, people assume they failed, not the system, not the interest rates, not the supply shortage. They blame themselves. And that leads to overstretching, lifestyle debt, anxiety masked as ambition. Now, you might be thinking, Jake, people are buying houses every day. Yes, and a lot of them are. One emergency away from stress, saving nothing, banking on raises that may never come. That's not freedom. That's a fragile truce with your mortgage. What you can do instead. Actionable, not copium. 1. Separate afford from approved. Your number is your number, not the bank's. 2. Build the down payment first. If you can't save for it, you can't maintain it. Harsh, but protective. 3. Consider buying time, not space. Smaller home, different area, later date. Time is an asset. 4. Focus on income growth before house growth. A house magnifies your financial habits, good or bad. A $500,000 house in 2026 isn't normal middle class anymore. It's upper middle class math pretending to be average. And realizing that isn't defeat, it's clarity. Clarity lets you stop chasing numbers that don't love you back. Look, you're not behind. You're just living in a decade where housing math got detached from reality. The goal isn't to own a house at any cost. The goal is to build a life that doesn't collapse when something goes wrong. If this video helped put words and numbers to what you've been feeling, hit subscribe, because we're going to keep breaking down money the honest way, not the motivational poster version.